Volume 2, Number 6. As Grace reads the chapter on love, as Michael is resting. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. 1 Corinthians 13:4-8. And Michael awakens. I heard that, honey. Thank you. How are you feeling? I feel good. How's your cold? I got your cold and flu. Well, I'm feeling better. I hope my cold gets better. As Miss Yokoshoto comes in. Oh, Michael, I brought you tea. As he sips on his tea. Oh, Mrs. Yokoshoto, thank you, said Michael. Rest, Michael, rest. We'll be back to check on you. As Miss Yokoshoto exits the door. Grace asks Michael, do you want me to stay with you? I'm going to rest some more, says Michael to Michelle. It's okay, Michelle. Just watch the kids. As Michael and Grace stay and rest in the bed. Grace sits by the bedside and watches Michael rest. Michael, do you want me to read more of the Bible? If you want to. I would like to. Let me see what we can read. I'll read Proverbs. In fact, it says here, a virtuous wife. Who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband safely trusts her, for she lacked no gain. She does him good, not evil, all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax, and is willing to work with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from far. She also rises while it's yet night, and provides food for her household, and a portion for her maidservants. She considers a field and buys it. From her profits, she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and strengthens her arms, and she perceives that her merchandise is good, and her lamp does not go out at night. She stretches out her hands to the staff, and her hands hold out the spindle. She extends her hand to the poor, yet she reaches out her hands to the needy. She's not afraid of her household, for her household is clothed with scarlet. She makes tapestries for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when she sits among the elders of the land. And that's Proverbs 31, 10-21. Perfect. I have to say, Grace, I went to pray at the church yesterday. That's exactly what I prayed about. A Proverbs 31 prayer for you. How good is God? God is so good. You're going to become more and more of a Proverbs 31 woman. And by praying the love prayer in Corinthians, says it all. As our lives are going to change, and it's changing. I understand something, and I think that my love for God has changed. See, the other night when we were talking about skinny dipping, I became convicted. How so, honey? Well, I was thinking about something that probably was outside of what God wanted me to think about. I don't look at you in those eyes. You're my wife, and I need to honor you as my wife. You're an honorable woman. Thank you, Michael. You get up in the morning, just like it says in Proverbs 31. You have a household and a maid staff. Now, all you need to do is get scarlet and purple clothes, and you shouldn't be set. That's right, Michael. It's okay, Grace. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to rest a little more. Get your day started. It is, in fact, 6 in the morning, and you're up before the birds. I don't hear the birds chirping yet. They should be up any moment. You mean our children? Yeah, our children, that is. No, I think they're almost up, so I better get going. Okay. I love you, Michael. I love you too, Grace. Thank you. Thank you for reading the Bible for me. It's just what the doctor ordered. As Michael and Grace part ways for a moment, Grace ponders and thinks about a daily devotion, something they have not really spent time doing. Oh boy, says Grace. Maybe I need to do daily devotions more often, Miss Yokoshota. Maybe you should. It doesn't hurt. Maybe you should stretch out and exercise your arms, just like in Proverbs 31 says. This tea is great. I haven't had tea. This is premier Japanese tea. Keep on drinking, my child. Ah, the key to longevity and faithfulness is to continue to be consistent in your routine in life. Don't let the distractions of life inhibit you. And what do you mean by that? I mean, be consistent. Wake up every morning early. Let your husband go to work. He needs to be at work. I saw him leave early yesterday. That was good. He doesn't need to be at home. He's been worn down because really he's been far away from his calling. I know. I can tell. Something just didn't seem right yesterday. You notice, Miss Yokoshota? Absolutely. It's one thing to raise children. It's another thing for a man to be inhibited. He is truly the alpha male. You know what I mean? Yes, you're right. He is the man of the house, the head of the household. Just like in the Bible, how it is said that he goes to a faraway place and he finds his servants. And what do the servants do? They hide from the master of the house. They find them doing what, Grace? Well, I'm pretty sure the way it goes is that they hide from their master because they're not doing right by the master. Correct. So it's the same as owning a business. He needs to be watching, he needs to know what's going on at his company, or somebody's going to more or less take advantage of him. And what happened to him at his previous interactions with his partner is what happened could happen again. And I think there's some hesitation on his part about what happened is that it's a trust that he has. He has to trust his employees that they're not going to betray him. That's so true. I never really took the time to think deeper into this. And having a conversation about it makes so much sense. You're making a very valid point, says Grace to Mrs. Yokoshoto. And I need to talk to him about this. Well, you shouldn't talk to him about it in the way I'm talking to you about it. Just be wise. Think about it. His partner really ruined the company. He lost, he literally lost the company. So he rebuilt the company. And now the company is doing well. Or you wouldn't have a house, you wouldn't be able to provide for the children. He could have never come as far as he's been able to come. He's a good provider. He's provided for me. He's been able to provide for the children. My grandchildren are going to the best school possible. They're not going to a public school. What kind of life my grandchildren could have had if they'd gone to a public school? I don't know. I know that they're getting a premier education. Continue drinking some more Japanese tea, my darling, as Grace drinks Japanese tea. And they continue to talk into the morning. Well, Mrs. Yokoshoto, school's upon us. We got to get the backpacks ready. We got to prepare them for school. They're going into second grade, that being Elijah. Jenny's going into kindergarten, that is. So the first day of school is going to be just as busy as it was last year. I'm sure we're going to make a big production. Should we do the same thing we did last year? Should we have a Japanese cuisine and kick it off the way we did? Why, certainly. We're going to have sushi. We're going to have rice. We're going to do it just like we did last year. Should we have a Japanese tradition in this household? And we're going to continue that Japanese tradition. The children are going to grow up with a traditional Japanese meal before school, kicking off the back to school year. And this year, we're going to introduce them to dance school, and we're going to see them in different programs, maybe a musical instrument. Who knows? We could really broaden their horizons this year. This is just, last year was just getting their feet wet. This year we can do much more now that they're more mature, now that they have a year of school under their belt. We could do so much more this year. Absolutely, said Grace. I am so happy that you are talking to me about this. I am so excited about this year. Grace gets water from the refrigerator as Miss Yokoshoto brings out so many points. Well, Michelle and Jessica will be coming in here shortly. What else do you think we should do? Well, we just do what we did last year. See, the thing is, last year we were in a rush. This year, we don't have to rush into things. We can take our time. We can enjoy life. Last year, everything was in there was so much busyness. We get to enjoy the plants, the roses. I get to take the basil. I can add some things to our garden, cilantro this time now. There's a lot more things we did this year that we didn't do last year because we were so late to the game last year. We were pushed for time. Who likes to be pushed for time? This year, and I'm pretty much probably one of many people believe this. You're going to have a baby shower. We're going to make sure you have a baby shower. We're not going to miss a beat, says Mrs. Yokoshino. Absolutely. And as far as naming your baby, I'm sure you're going to come up with the right name for the baby. You have no worries. As far as the challenges of being a mother of 4 children, well, hiring another maid or hiring somebody else, that comes with the territory. I wouldn't want to do housework either while I'm pregnant. When I was pregnant with Zio, I understood how hard it was. My feet were swollen in my last trimester. I couldn't wait to finish my pregnancy. When Zio was born, it was a relief. As you know, being pregnant yourself. Zia was a beautiful baby girl, just like Jenny. So many qualities. Zio and Jenny look so much alike. Every time I see Jenny, I see so much of Zio in her. If you only knew Zio, you would love Zio like you love Jenny. It brings tears to my eyes that Zio is not here. But now that I know you, I know Zio will be comforted knowing that you're here for her. So when Zio goes to dance class and learns either ballet or jazz or whatever classes she selects, and she dances in the kimono, you're going to be so proud of Jenny. And most of all, I know Zio would be proud of her too. And what about you, Miss Yokoshodo? Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold back the tears. I might need a box of Kleenexes. It'll be one moment that'll be forever treasured in my heart. Just the thought of it brings a shaking in my heart. My heart beats to think that my great grandmother and now Jenny would perform. I look forward to the day to see Jenny dance in a kimono. How beautiful. Well, we're going to see that day come very soon. I'm sure Jenny's going to dance and perform for you and practice, and she's going to find purpose. You never know where it's going to lead to. Maybe she'll end up in the performing arts school. Oh, would that be so delightful? Well, listen, we should probably get the kids ready for the day. Why wake them up? Let them sleep. It's only 6:30. Besides, we're having tea. Michael's sleeping, and the girls aren't here yet. It's just me and you for a change. We deserve a break today. like they say at McDonald's. Said Grace. You watch a lot of TV. Hulu, it is. That's right, Hulu. As they laugh and enjoy Japanese tea and water. It's such a pleasant conversation between Mrs. Yokoshota and Grace. I'm so relieved. I so needed this, Mrs. Yokoshota. Oh, so did I. Once in a while, we just need to relax. After all, you have been on an airplane with three children. When do you get a chance to just say, heck with it? Yeah, your last famous words, heck with it. Besides, we need to go down and enjoy the rose bushes. I have a special rose for you waiting down there just for you. It says your name all over it, Grace. Mrs. Yokoshota, I can't wait to see that yellow rose bush. That is my favorite thing that you do. Well, I pruned those yellow rose bushes perfectly. This year, it's better than last. As I said before, it took a long time to get those rose bushes to look that way. Ask anybody that's a gardener. That's an expensive project. I believe you. Did you ever try succulents? Oh, by all means. I have a succulent garden. I didn't tell you about what I've done this year. Oh, really? Mmm. And a little secret. We went up to your husband's office and decorated. It was supposed to be a secret, and by now, of course, your husband knows. You went up to my husband's office? And what did you do? Said Grace. Well, let's just say we decorated it. You did. And what happened? Well, we met Carol, Vanessa from HR, and they were so happy to let us into the office. We decorated cherry blossoms. I put a moss planter with a nice oriental planter, perfect from Japan. Yeah? Yeah, there's a lot of cherry blossoms in there. So for your husband not to notice would be quite shocking. No kidding. He never mentioned it. I guess he's busy. Too busy to mention it? No, probably not that. Probably still shocked the fact that it was there. So I brought up sushi, a little bit of seaweed salad, and rice to the girls for helping me out. And as Grace is stunned at this, what you did this while we were gone, of course, right? Yeah. Oh, of course. Of course. Michelle and I went up there. Michelle and you went up there and decorated his office. Why, of course, since he had that new desk and it was an oriental desk by all means. I did not know this. It matched the planter of all the things in the world. Do you know what good taste Carol has? And did you know that Carol's been married for 25 years? And she was the one that said that she wanted to do something different and that you inspired her to go to creative writing classes at Ozark Tech. I inspired her? Me? Said Grace. Apparently so. So we got to talking more. The conversation was delightful. Let me just say that. Wow. I'm going to have you do more of this more often. Well, there's more. I got to talking to Nan. And I went over to talk to Nan. And I did the same thing. I brought her over some sushi. Tell me how this is all transpired because there's a lot of things you're leaving out. Well, I'm telling you now, since you've been on vacation, or on the speaking tour, that is, we had some free time on our hands, so we took advantage of it. So I went over to Nan. I brought over sushi, rice, and seaweed salad from, and we didn't have to go to the Springfield International Asian Market. I simply went to Walmart. Yeah, I got that. I can't believe, of all the things in the world, we traveled all the way up there just to get all that Asian food for the price that we spent. And you ended up going to Walmart, and there you are. You got all the things you needed for probably half the price. Exactly, said Mrs. Yokoshito. Yes. So, as I continue to explain to you, I spent some time with Nan, brought her over the rice, sushi. I didn't forget ginger. I must mention I had to bring some ginger, and of course, seaweed salad. And we gardened in her yard too. And that's how the succulents come in. I brought over a couple succulents, and she was so thrilled. And by the time we got the conversation started, she told me a little bit about this Amish greenhouse that she went to. And I couldn't help but wonder, why am I missing out on this? I need to get out more often. As I spend a lot of time indoors, and at my garden, of course, I need to get out. So we decided to go to the Amish greenhouse. And what do you know? She brought her friend over with her, Melanie. She's a nurse too. And we went to the Amish greenhouse. Oh, really? Yes. I got to see how the Amish conduct their lives. And they live very quaint lives, simple people, almost like the Pennsylvania Dutch people, but different. Similar, but different. They had this huge wagon wheel, the history, their lives, full of intriguing things to learn. I couldn't help but take in the history into their lives. But they lived so simple, and they were dressed in these beautiful garments, handmade, sewn, and they live among their families in communities with their children and their husbands and work on their farms with no need to be on the quote grid. Yeah, they don't. They they live independently. Yes, you know. You know about the Amish. So, as I had gone through the garden, one Amish woman bowed before me, and I bowed before her. She had respect for me, something that is missing in our society. I don't want my daughter to grow up in a society where she loses respect for her elderly or respect for one another. Lately, you see people rush in and rush out and forget about respect. Up there in the Amish country, which if we had the second chance to move away from the bustle of life, I would that would be the first choice is to move next to the Amish. Absolutely, Grace said. It would really slow life down. I couldn't disagree with you more. I always thought if I wanted my children to be raised, I would raise them, and I would want to be raised by an Amish family. That was always my dream. Do you know why I say that? Because I grew up with a bunch of Amish people myself when I was a young girl, said Grace. Really, Grace, you didn't tell me. Well, of course I didn't tell you. There's much I need to share with you. Oh, Grace, we must talk. The Amish people are fantastic and so intelligent and so sweet. So, as this lady had bowed before me, and I bowed before her, it was not culture respect, but just respect. And I bowed, after we bowed before each other, I went about my business, and so did she, of course. And I was looking at the plants, and I found a plant. You did. Yes, I found a plant for you. Now, I don't know the name of the plant, but that plant has been growing and growing and growing. They must have, there must be something special in the soil, but that plant has been growing like a weed. You bought me a plant? Absolutely. Here it is. And Grace gets the plant that was from the Amish garden. Wow, it is beautiful. Yes, I wanted to wait for the right time to give it to you, Grace. Thank you so much. Thank you for such a thoughtful and such a great story, too. Continue telling me more about the Amish. I'm all ears. Well, there's not much more to tell you. We came home. Melanie bought a load of plants. Melanie's funny. She's got a sense of humor. She seems like she's rushed for time, though. It looks like she has a busy life. She has twins. She has four daughters, more or less. So you figure it out. You have four daughters, you would be busy too. Yeah, I could imagine. I have four children, but four daughters, that's a lot. Oh, my goodness. And how's Nan doing? Nan is doing fantastic. I guess because her son is working so many hours now, it slowed Nan down a lot. Yeah, we should all go dancing or do something. We should have a party in the pool area. Oh, that would be wonderful. Maybe I could plan something for Labor Day, a cookout and a dance party. I don't know. I'm thinking, I'm not showing quite yet. Well, I'm showing, but I'm not showing. I'm surprised the kids are still asleep, said Mrs. Yokoshoto. Well, it's almost 7 o'clock. I'm feeling like we don't have much time. Time is of the essence, said Grace. I feel like I want more time with you to talk. Grace, let's make time. Let's make time later on. Okay, says Grace. Let's make time to dance today. Okay. If we don't have time to do it later on because Michael being sick, I'm going to go in and check in on Michael right now. You got a little head cold yourself? Yeah, I have to blow my nose, said Grace. Oh, well, maybe it is a cold that's going around, said Grace. You might got what Michael got, said Mrs. Yokoshoto. Yeah, it's possible. I want to go check in on Michael, and need to get the day started. If we have time later on, let's work on getting the kids enrolled in dance classes, or at least get Jenny enrolled, or at least get the ball started. I got to get their backpacks ready, or at least get their school supplies ready this week. Do you want to go shopping? Let's do that. Let that be our project. Let them pick out what they need. Okay, excellent. That'll be our family project this week to get the school supplies and enroll Jenny into dance class. I would like her to be enrolled in jazz or ballet, or both. Excellent. It was nice talking to you, Grace. I'm going to go downstairs and start on my rose bush and check out my succulents and my herb garden, especially my chives. Okay, Grace says, it was wonderful talking to you, especially about the Amish. That always excites me. Always, Grace, always. And as Mrs. Yokoshoto leaves to go downstairs, and by the way, thank you, Mrs. Yokoshoto. You're welcome, Grace. It was wonderful talking to you this morning. Finish your tea. Grace goes in to check on Michael. Michael, yes, how you feeling? I'm feeling a little bit better. Guess what? What? I got a head cold myself. It must be something contagious. Yeah. Maybe you need to take some cold and flu too. Yeah. I'm going to let you rest. The kids are still sleeping, fortunately. So, as long as you're resting and the door is closed, I'm not going to bother you because as once I did this before, once the kids get up and going, I'd rather you sleep as much as possible. You get up, you know, you'll know that the kids will be up doing whatever. I'm going to try to keep them busy, more or less. Okay, Grace, I'm going to go back to bed. Okay, baby, I love you. By the way, what did you do in there? I was talking to Miss Yokoshoto about the Amish. Really? You'll have to tell me about that. Oh, absolutely. Get some rest. I love you, baby. All right. I love you too, Grace. And just as Grace walks out the door, in comes Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Good morning, Grace. How's your morning going so far? Excellent. The children are still in bed. Would you like some Japanese tea from Mrs. Yokoshoto? Oh, I would love it, said Michelle. I'm glad to see you here so early. Well, it's actually my normal time. Well, it's still good to see you, Michelle. I had such a lovely talk with Mrs. Yokoshoto. Oh, it was so good to catch up. It'll be nice catching up with you as well. Let's get the day started, said Grace. Yes, let's get the day started. We're going to have a wonderful day. And this is the end of the episode.